Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I've uploaded a video, and it's been an even longer time since I've done a build video. I'm excited to introduce you guys to the new build, but, well, I guess it's kind of an old build that you guys have kind of seen lurking in the background, but we'll get into it in a minute. But wanted to show you guys the new merch before we start the build or start tearing this thing apart. I went ahead and made up some new merch, so I wanted to show you guys, we have the kind of the cursive logo hoodie. I have this skull and helmet hoodie also. I did it in white. A lot of these designs I'm going to reuse in the future, but I want to kind of run through the ones that I got right now. I had the banner logo made up into black and white, and yeah, a lot of you guys are asking about where the red one went, but I sold out of those, so I'm going to have to reorder those, or I might do it in a hoodie, I don't know. And then I got some of the stickers made up too, so I'm going to be putting these on the site too. They should be available today. But yeah, we've been selling these things pretty quick, so if you're interested in all in picking them up, I'll put the link in my description in this video, and you guys can head over there and pick some stuff up. Act pretty fast because they have been selling pretty quick, and I'd like to do a drop every month if I could, if it timed out right to where I sold enough and yeah, had enough logos and everything kind of fall in line. I'm still kind of new to the whole merch thing, so I got to, I don't know, figure out how the whole process works. But for now, I'll put that link down there and you guys can go check it out, pick some stuff up. It helps me out and it definitely motivates me to make these videos and push out content for you guys. So thank you very much for everybody that bought stuff. Thank you, I really do appreciate it. Oh yeah, and obviously this piston and wing shirt that I'm wearing right now is also available on the site. Totally forgot to throw it in there because I'm wearing it. But it's kind of cold right now, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw this cursive hoodie on, and I'll show you guys the new build. So a lot of you guys have seen it in the background and asked me to do a 110 build in the past, and I thought I would finally hammer down and do it, mainly because I know I got the Harley in the back, I got this one over here, which, by the way, that's a Dyna, and this is FXR. This, I thought about doing maybe a Harley build, but I don't know, maybe that's in the future. And then I also picked up a 73 Elsinore. I do want to build this thing eventually, but that's later on down the road when I'm getting ready for a vintage race, because I do, now that I'm retired and have time to do stuff like that, I would really love to, I don't know, kind of tinker with that kind of stuff. But couldn't do the Supreme bike, because if I touch that thing, it's just going to devalue it, as sad as that is. But yeah, that's kind of a special bike, so I don't want to touch that. Obviously, we did the 250 for straight rhythm. This is just my everyday bike right now. I do want to do an everyday build, but this is not actually, I do not own this bike. This is Honda's bike, so as far as blocking the frame out or swing arm or whatever I want to do to this thing, that's not in the cards because it doesn't belong to me. So the only thing I can really do is do graphics and wheels, and everything that I take off the bike, I have to be able to put back on it and make it stock again. So I thought, why not, just to kill some time, and I have kind of a cool race coming up on this thing, so I thought it'd be cool to take this thing apart and customize a little bit. Things that I've done to it so far, I don't really like these bars very much. These are the 110, these are like the 110 model bars that Pro Taper makes. They're cool, I think for a kid they're cool, but for me, I don't know, they're kind of low. So I went ahead and ordered the 50 bars that are, I don't know, quite a few inches taller. The one problem that I had though was that the throttle cable doesn't, I don't know, a lot of people turn this upside down. I don't like the way it looks, so I ended up running it through here, through that part of the frame. Usually it runs where these wires are. This is my light, by the way. I have this on-off switch for my light. I don't have it on there right now, but I ran it through here and it works fine with these bars, but with the taller bars it's not gonna work. So I hit up the guys from BBR and they let me know that the CRF125 or 150, I'll have to double check. I think it's the 125. The throttle cables work. They go straight to the fuel injection system or whatever it is, the throttle body, and they line up. So I'm gonna do that. And then also this throttle tube is very small on the 110. It's obviously made for a kid's hand. So he told me that the CRF 125 will also fit on there. So I'm gonna order that as well. He, over at BBR, those guys were super, super cool. They are gonna hook me up with quite a few parts. And as they come in the mail, I will show you guys them, but keep that a secret for right now. But I want to say thank you to BBR for helping me out, giving me a little bit of info. But I remember back in the day, like when I was like 12 or 13, so that was probably like 02, 03, the 50 and 110 craze was crazy. But everyone kind of went over the top. That, you know, they do everything. Literally, you could pretty much build them from scratch, like just with aftermarket parts, like frame, swing arm, engine, full like 135 or whatever kits you're putting in them. And then like the fourth gear, the bigger carburetor, literally everything, suspension obviously. And I don't know, that wasn't really my style. Like I always liked to like take these things to the bike jumps or whatever it was, just to kind of have fun on them. But, or I guess 110 jumps, because all the BMX guys would get mad if you ruin their jumps. So I don't know, I want to build this thing the way that I would do it, so hopefully you guys can kind of like my style, but I do want to completely frame this thing. I want to make it kind of like my L, black out the frame. I want to get the suspension done, but I want to keep the stock fork legs, stock upper, stock rear shock, and just the stock height. I like the stock, you know, height of these things. I think it's cool to keep a mini, but also, I mean, I haven't really done anything. Like I said, I did the bars. I actually taped the tire and nipples on the stock wheels and spray painted them. As you can see, they're coming off because I knew I was going to do this eventually, so I didn't want to take the time to, you know, do too much to it off the camera. But Yoshimura also got me a pipe. This is obviously the stock one, but somewhere in this garage I have the pipe, so I'll throw that thing on there. We'll just kind of customize it, make it kind of cool like we did with the straight rhythm bike and the L. So, oh, I'll show you the light too. This is the, I think it's like a floodlight. I don't know. It's like a floodlight for, or a fog light maybe for a vehicle. And then it's just got like a Deutsch connector for plugging in. But I just, you know, unplug it and then tuck the wiring back here. Plugs in right there. And then my friend Nando made me this cool mount. It's just literally mounts to the front two bar mounts right here. And honestly, the coolest thing like you use that for is going to Glamorous or going to the desert and you just flip on the light and you can have some mini bike races. So I don't know, that was just a cool thing. I liked it because I could unplug it, tuck the wires away, and the on-off switch doesn't really bother me that much. I think it comes with a stock one, but this is an aftermarket on-off switch. And by stock, I mean what comes with this or the wiring harness. But super easy to install. I did it myself in like, I don't know, like a half hour. So pretty, I don't know, odd little mod, but it's whatever. I don't know. The mods we're gonna do this are gonna be more traditional style, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'm gonna set this thing down and figure out where to start on taking this thing apart. Okay, so I think what I'm gonna start with is basically what I always do is just take off the wheels, take off the plastics, kind of see what's going on underneath, and hopefully this will be pretty simple. I know it's got fuel injection now and quite a little bit more of a complicated wiring harness than the normal 110s, but start there, take the wheels off, take maybe suspension today, maybe do the whole front end, and just kind of see where we get ourselves going. But I'm gonna go throw this thing on the tripod and do a little time lapse right now. All right, so got it kind of stripped down a little bit, but this is what I was talking about. The wiring harness is a little more complicated than last time, or than the last bikes, but obviously it's electric start, so it's got the battery, then it's fuel injected now, so there's a lot more going on than just the normal mini bike. But I already knew this because these wires right here are for my light, so I already kind of saw what was going on right here when I did all this, but nonetheless, still pretty simple. It is kind of funny to me though that like how particular Honda was with the 450L versus this thing, and this is the ECU. It's literally just like floating back here. So I don't know if there's supposed to be some sort of housing on there to hold it in place or what the deal is, but almost looks like they're supposed to be, I don't know, I have to zip tie it or something. But this was literally just floating underneath my seat the whole time, so don't really know what that's all about. But yeah, so in order to get the fender off, I gotta take off this pipe right here, and I thought I'd show these graphics that I had too. Obviously I want to show the pipe too, which reminded me. Got the Yoshimura under there, and then I have these graphics that Moto Cuts made. They do all my graphics too, so they did these and then they made me 110 graphics to match. But I don't know if you guys have seen my L yet, but I completely redid the look of it, and just with a simple seat cover and graphics. So I'll post a picture right now to see if you guys like those graphics better. If you like the ones behind me better, let me know. If you like the L ones better, let me know, and then I'm kind of gonna decide between the two on what to do with this bike. Obviously this will have a little bit closer look to what I'm going with the L, so kind of leaning more towards those graphics, but nonetheless those it's almost like a more of a classic like old school vibe, I feel like. I think Deus was the ones that designed these. Maybe Motocuts did, I'm not positive on that, but still a really clean and simple look. And it looks cool with the red number plates. So keep tearing this thing apart and see how far we can get tonight. I don't really know, like I said, with all this wiring and stuff, it's a little bit more complicated than normal. So just kind of taking my time and going over through everything. And off camera, I've been kind of organizing the bolts, and like I hate getting lost in all this stuff. So kind of just putting under tape and writing what it is. So gonna keep doing that and keep tearing this thing apart. Okay, now that the tank's off, we can kind of see how the wiring goes to this thing. So I actually just pulled off my my light setup just to get it out of the way. But all it is since you have the battery there, it's just very, very simple setup. It's just a negative, positive. This connects to the switch that goes to the handlebars, and then this Deutsch connector goes to the light, obviously. So very, very simple, and it's just got an inline fuse and a relay. So pretty simple setup. Takes about, I don't know, 20-30 minutes to kind of trim the wires up and get them the right length, and then, you know, set them all up. But got all that off. So I was kind of looking at it off camera, and it almost looks like I can just take this bolt off, and this whole cluster really will come out. Obviously got to undo the grounds too, but it looks like most of the wiring harness, I mean, being a 110, it's obviously gonna be a lot simpler than a 450, but most of the wiring harness goes right here, and then some of it wraps around here to the, looks like TPS sensor and maybe airflow on the other side, and then up to the, you know, the front wiring harness too for the switches and all that stuff. So I'm gonna try disconnecting all that and try and kind of feed it through the frame and kind of pull this off all as one unit and not have to, you know, completely disassemble all the wiring stuff. So take that out and update you guys in a second. All right, I got most of the wiring harness disconnected here, so I kind of wanted to show a little quick update. But we've got the main harness, a lot of the you know, fuel injection readings, and or not fuel injections, the throttle body readings and all that stuff. And then this main cluster is to go to the bars for the gas light, the key, the on-off switch. So there's kind of a lot going on over there. So I'm just gonna hang this over the edge. And then this was all, I forgot about all the engine readings. So obviously we got the starter now, so we have to have a, you know, the main to the negative terminal. And then I forgot, since there's a electric start, obviously they have to have, you know, a neutral, like the bike has to know if it's in neutral and all these other readings. So yeah, this is definitely a lot more complicated than I had originally assumed, because I forgot about the electric start on these things, and they're fuel injected. So I mean, this is basically, you know, it's a mini version of a 450. So a lot going on here, but the main point of this was to keep this main harness connected to all this, and I can just kind of take this off as one unit. Disconnected the negative side of the battery. I forgot to mention that earlier, but obviously when you're working with a battery, it's always good to, you know, make sure that nothing can short out or anything like that by disconnecting that. So gonna go ahead and throw this camera back on the bench, and probably just disconnect this one last bolt and kind of pull this whole thing off as a single unit, and I'll update you guys in a minute. There you have it. Pulled it right off. Pretty simple. It was just the one bolt that I was talking about that kind of held this whole thing in, and obviously held the battery in. I totally didn't even realize that, but once I got that out of the way, pulled this out. There was one more bolt behind the battery holding this whole plastic, you know, thing. I don't even know what to call it. Basically the battery holder and the whole wiring harness connection. So I went ahead and pulled that back in just so I don't lose the bolts, and now we have a little bit more of a naked looking bike. So obviously these are pretty easy because the, you know, it's not a perimeter frame. The engine like supports the foot pegs, which is kind of sketchy for bigger guys, but just kind of have to disconnect the swing arm and a few more engine bolts, and then the whole thing should drop out. So relatively simple from here on out, but I think I'm just gonna end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoy this build. It's kind of different, but I think it'll be really cool when it's all said and done. And I think the whole 110 craze is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of coming back. I'm stoked to get the whole ball rolling with this whole thing and have some really exciting stuff planned for it. Even though it is a 110, it's still gonna be really cool in the end of it. So BBR sending me some stuff. I'm stoked to see what, you know, get that box and kind of unbox it for you guys and show you what's up. If you haven't already, go check out the new merch. If you're not already subscribed, be sure and subscribe. And if you guys have any opinions on, you know, what do you think I should do to this thing, comment, DM me, whatever. Let me know what you guys think, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. And we'll see you in the next one.
was a sight for my soul.